Hey YouTube, this is Southern Prepper One. I want to give you the basics of grass clippings, hay, what you should do with them. What I've been showing you is actually collecting hay. Hay is just grass. But these are the do's and don'ts. I'm going to go quick over these because in a grid down situation, you might not have the resources of the internet. So I recommend getting books. There's so many good books on raising rabbits, raising chickens. You need to know this information. You need to have references to be able to go back when you have a problem. So, bottom line, any grass clippings, any hay, make sure it's free of pesticides. If you're in the suburban area and you're gathering from your yard, your neighbors might both be using some type of pesticides on their yard. So don't cut 5 or 6 feet on each side, of the property line. That way you're not collecting anything that has come across, just to be safe. Pesticides are very harmful to your chickens and to your rabbits. For this, I'm going to be referring just to chickens and rabbits, the do's and don'ts of feeding them. First of all, you cut your grass, you bag it up, grass clippings. Those grass clippings, as soon as you cut it with that blade, it causes a lot of heat. It actually fires up the fermenting process of that piece of grass. So if you took that fresh and gave it to rabbits, they digest it. Their digestive system can't handle that fermenting occurring, and it will continue occurring while it's being pushed through their system. That is a negative. No, no, no. Do not use a push mower and feed them straight grass clippings. But you can take those same grass clippings and feed them to your chickens. Chickens will have no problems with them because they're grass clippings. They're small. Smaller the better. When you get into too long, the problem is when they take it in, it can get into their crop and mess that up. When chickens eat grass, they run around and they peck little pieces. They peck little pieces. That's why they can handle it. And they eat a ton of that grass that way. So, grass clippings, no for rabbits. Yes for chickens. Now let's talk about how I harvest them. I use my scythe or a swing blade, or I use a rotary push mower. That does not create the heat that a gas-powered mower does. So I will harvest with my push mower for rabbits and chickens and feed them immediately. When you introduce grass and you introduce anything new vegetable-wise, you do it very slowly with rabbits. A little bit every day until you build up their tolerance. They have a very finicky digestive system, and you can make them very sick by just throwing them. Never give them just regular lettuce. Never. So this I just cut, and this was cut with my rotary, and I purposely cut the sections of my lawn that has clover in it. Because let's see, that piece can be eaten by a chicken. That piece could be eaten by a rabbit. The chickens, I'll throw a ton of it into them. First of all, it's good for them. Secondly, they scratch it all up. It sort of gives them something to do during the day. So I don't mind cutting a whole mess. I know it's going to go to waste in a sense of being feed, but what happens is they spread it all over the chicken area, and it just eventually turns into compost. So I will harvest that. So for me, it's just easier to throw it in there and let them naturally turn that into compost. So some areas have a little bit of fescuing, but as you can see, these are all small pieces. Now I will feed this personally to my rabbits. Some people might be a purist and say, no, it has to be harvested by hand. My rotary mower is push slow. It does a great job. I've never had any issues harvesting this way with my rabbits. But if you're a purist, do it by hand. I can get so much of this because I have big, huge patches of clover that I'm not going to get rid of and change out for fescue. For me, I love it. It's just another way to feed rabbits and chickens. All right, remember, no grass clippings with a push mower. Grass clippings with a push mower for chickens. Make sure you don't cut it really long, though. If you got really long, hopefully the mulching aspect of it will make it small. You do not want long pieces. No long pieces. Okay, so this is what I harvest, and it's fescue. It is made for cows and horses eat it. Rabbits will eat it too. Rabbits are picky. There's a few hays that you would like to get. First is Timothy, and then there's orchard grass. I would look for those two. We feed them Timothy. We have some Timothy left from the last year's cutting, but I'm waiting for the new Timothy. We don't grow it around here, so I actually have to buy it from the feed store. So what this is fescue. This was cut with a mower. It's a little bit longer because the field was very long and the chute was open on the big tractor, so it pushed it out quickly. It did not mulch it. This did not get mulched. Some of these pieces are still pretty long, but this is great for the rabbits. Drying is so important. I'm paranoid about that. I would rather leave stuff in the field than try to store wet hay, wet grass. Luckily, the last few weeks we have had no rain, so it's been a perfect time to get up this hay. So this is going to be stored for bedding for the chickens, and this will be backup feed for the rabbits because it has fermented totally. It's changed that the chemical changes has occurred in the grass. So you could take grass clippings and properly dry them, and then you could feed them to your rabbits if they're perfectly dried. So this is going to be for chickens, for bedding. In the wintertime, if it gets muddy anywhere, I can throw this down. And this is definitely feed for rabbits, but my rabbits prefer Timothy. They will eat this if there's no Timothy in there. And it's also, this is nice for bedding because I think this is actually softer than the Timothy. And it's smaller. So I harvest this. Chickens. You've got a chicken coop, you can't free range them. The best thing, I have an area of garden I'm not planting this year, it's just gonna sit, so all kinds of weeds are growing up in there. So what I like doing is taking a shovel and just taking some of the weeds out, some of the grass out, and I will throw all that into the chickens. It does a few things. They can peck around. It's entertainment, so they're not bored. They got something to do during the day, and all it does is break that dirt clod up. They will find things in it, insects, worms, they'll eat that, and then they spread it all over the chicken coop floor, and it eventually turns into more compost. Next, in my garden right now, there's about 10 of these big, huge plantain plants. Plantain's a weed, but it's a very good weed to have. This is awesome. My rabbits love it. So I pick some of this by hand, just grab a few, throw it in each of the cages for the rabbits. Anytime you introduce something new, go slow. Don't throw too much in there. Build it up. Also, I take plantain, take a bunch of it, tie it up, put it in my shop, and let it dry. So this is going to turn into winter treats, winter food for the rabbits. It's absolutely free. You just grab it, tie it up, hang it in the rafters. Some people say, well, you got to take this after it's totally dry and put it in a Ziploc bag. I don't. It's easier for me not to. A couple hundred years ago, they didn't have Ziploc bags. So plantain, I have tons of it on my property. It's such a valuable product. Hopefully you understand this because you can make your rabbit sick. So rabbits do not get wet grass cut by a powered mower. It's a no-no, but you can throw that to your chickens. Hopefully this helps. If you have any questions, this is the time to learn. This is the time to experience what works with my rabbits when you don't have that pelletized food from the feed store. Thanks for watching.